Hello everyone. I should be live. Let's just check I am. Hello everyone. I am. I can hear myself and I can see myself moving. Let's just check. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Hello everyone. How are you all? How are you, my friends? Hello, DJ B2 and Neil Peel of the Paranormal Peep Show. How are you? Thanks for joining us. I'll put these on so I can see what I'm doing. Greetings. How are you all? We got some great questions already. Neil is here. Great people going here. All right. And DJ B2, hello. I've been rewatching the Terminal List in preparation for the new one. All right. I see that one. I know someone left me a message about something. DJ, how interested in the update? Is the Atlas object from Clendathu and is Buenos Aires in danger? All right. Well, that is actually a reference to Starship Troopers, a film and a book, which is quite well known. Hello, Tor Engen. How are you? And hello, Simon Tucker. Welcome. How are you all? We've got 11 people watching already, which is there's probably more. I bet you there's more than that. I bet you I get more viewers than what YouTube are telling me. Definitely way more. But I hope you're all right. I hope you're all doing well. I hope everyone's happy and kicking bottom. Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot to talk about. Hello, Hugo. How are you, sir? Spliffs in the tin. I hope plenty of spliffs in the tin. How are you guys? All right. It's been a while since I've done a video because I went away to the Warminster 60 conference. There's going to be, by the way, there's not going to be a video about that, but there are going to be 3 Hapanmo radio shows about it. So that's next best thing, surely. That's next best thing. It's great. I hope to see people here like the Crafty Nihilist and other people who were were there. The Crafty Nihilist was there. Neil was there. Neil Peel was there. And a few other people I met, friends of mine I met there, which is really, really great. Yeah, Neil's there. And Neil actually made some videos he just sent me, so that's absolutely great. So let's just, have I got any comments on? No, I deleted the notice actually. I actually deleted the notice already. Hello, Crafty. Welcome, the Crafty Nihilist. How are you? The Crafty Nihilists were there, both of them. Of course, Spliffs. Oh, good. Skinning up as I watch more. Thank you. Of course, yes. Welcome, all of you. I saw the Crafty Nihilists, both of them, and Neil Peel. So all we need is Colin and Miles, and everyone. We'll have everyone now, won't we? Yeah, we'll have everyone. It was quite a weekend. I mean, it's do listen to her Panmo radio, guys. I'm sorry I didn't make a video, but I wanted to do a Roamcast for a change. But God, it was stressful. I mean, it was cool. The Crafty will tell you, but it was bloody stressful. I mean, it was the conference itself was fantastic, but there was what you might call some social ills among the little community of people I was a part of, caused primarily by 2 people. Where's Red Snapper? Oh, you beat him. Yeah, you beat Red Snapper. Yeah, there's 2 people. I mean, I won't go into detail and name names, but only one social ill. Well, yeah. There was one guy I was with he tends to be quite bad-tempered and and he will sometimes fly off the handle for almost no reason at all. He was with us, and he had a meltdown and basically caused a lot of bad feeling. And there was also this woman who showed up who was just like, she's one of these people. Hello, Green Tea. How are you? DJ B2, is the Atlas a fragment of LV-420, that egg factory? Is that another science fiction reference? No, there was a woman who turned up who, and I'll say more about this in the radio show, who was one of these people who just they speak and they don't have a pause button. And the entire time I was there with this other guy like storming off and just literally marching out in a fury. And then there was this woman who showed up who literally she gave what can only be described as a 48-hour non-stop lecture. And that was very. I hate that. Was awful. That was. I hated that, and not least because there were other people. We were sitting down having breakfast on Monday morning, and she was like she was continuing it, and people were there listening to her. And I just said one word, and someone leaned over, not her, one of the other people listening leaned over and sort of slapped me on the arm and said, "Don't interrupt." After I hadn't hardly said a bloody word for the last 2 days, she says, "Don't interrupt." That pissed me off so much. It really did. And I wish I was a different kind of person. I sometimes really, really dislike myself. I'll say more in detail in the show, but sometimes I really dislike myself, because I wish I was the kind of person who could just tell these people to shut the fuck up, and I'm not. You see, I can do that to people who are outwardly malicious. But when people are just a bit autistic and are just just have a kind of like inability to comprehend people around them, I can't bring myself to do it, and that causes me a lot of stress because these people do get on my nerves. And it's there are people who are outwardly malicious, and it's difficult being someone like me, because people, I've got this sort of image that people have of me being very sensitive and soft and kind of like good natured, and some people think they can take advantage of me, and they try it and they realize they can't. But so they underestimate me, but then it's sad that how many people try. I mean, there's probably people who are a bit more belligerent and harder than me and meaner, who never experience this, because people immediately they don't underestimate those people. They know immediately they can't get away with this. They treat them with more respect than they do me. And that to me is very, very demoralizing at times. Oh, blimey. Anyway, I'm not going to whine about that now. Let's get on. Let's focus, guys. Yeah. Crafty says none of that at the actual conference. No, the conference was great. It was brilliant. I had to go. Oh, someone called Close Quarters is here. Hello. Is it good etiquette to say hi? First time commenting on this channel. Hello. Or welcome, Close Quarters. Great to have a new viewer. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy it, Close Quarters. I hope to keep you entertained, so you'll be back. Yeah, I mean, Crafty Nihilist, Liz, you're one of these people, I think, who probably people immediately they're not going to, they don't try it on with you. They don't try it with you. They try it with me because they think they can get away with it. I mean, the thing is, the person I'm talking about here is not like actively malicious. I mean, I will put people who are actively malicious in their place. I did it to John Hanson. We talked about John Hanson, Andrew Johnson, people like that. I will, but for someone who's just, there's kind of like there's a weird difference there, and I still don't understand it myself. Right. Someone mentioned something. This right. Checked it. 3i Atlas is 1.859 AU from Mars. Yeah, Tor. We're going to go into exactly where 3i Atlas is, because I can show you, actually. I can show you where it is precisely. Let me just get onto my Interstellar Object portal. By the way, if you want to know anything about this, and I'm not going to go through the background, everything's here on the Interstellar Object portal. And so here we go. There's a really, really good database, actually, you can use. I just put a link in this article. We'll have a look at exactly where 3i Atlas is right now. There we are. You should be able to see that. Yes, you can. Good. Oh, go out. Get out of the way. I know you've got to pay the bills, but for goodness sake, here we go. So it's getting closer. Yeah, it's getting closer and closer to Mars. 1.8 AU is about right. 1.859 AU. Yeah. As you see, it's this symbol means comet, but is it a comet? That's the question. What's going to happen is you can see Mars is heading in that direction. And in fact, we can actually advance the time a little bit. And you can see as time goes on, it's going to see on around about the 3rd, I think it's the 3rd of October. There we are, the 3rd of October, it comes to its sepia, its closest point of approach to Mars. At the same time, it'll disappear behind the glare horizon of the sun, which means we won't be able to see it very well. And what we do then is an interesting question. How do we observe it once this has happened? But basically, we go into October, through October. See, the Earth is right over there. We're in the worst possible place for seeing it. All the other planets get a grandstand seat, but we have a really bad thing. I mean, as I said in last week's video. So it carries on here, and then round about, I don't know exactly when it is that Earth-based telescopes can see past the glare of the sun, because at this point in late October, maybe it will be visible in the evening, or in the very early morning or very evening sky, just before sunrise or just after sunset. As we carry on here into November, it comes to its CPA to Venus. It's getting that again. It's less than the astronaut. It's about 0. I think it's 0.8 AU from Venus. And it carries on. Now, CPA for the Earth is the 3rd of December. Oh, no, sorry, 19th of December. So as you see, it's still getting closer and closer and closer. By this time, it'll be there. 3rd of December, that's its CPA to the December. And then it goes further out. And eventually, as we go through, we go right into, then we go into the next year. And in March next year, it goes past Jupiter. I think it's the 19th of March or something. January, February. See, it's getting very close to Jupiter now. Do you see? 6, 7. At that point, it intersects Jupiter. Right. 25th of March, it crosses the orbit of Jupiter. I don't know if that's its CPA to Jupiter. Well, there's actually, the list is here. The list is on the Wikipedia page. Here we are. Mars, 0.04 AU. That's only 17 million, just under 18 million kilometers. That sounds a long way, but in cosmic terms, that's scraping the paint off. Venus, 0.6 AU. Earth, 1.7. Jupiter, 0.3, just 0.3.5 AU there. So, yeah, exactly. Now, let's see. Let's have a look. Winslow, hello, Winslow. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Nothing seems. If 3i lands on Mars, I'll start believing it's an alien craft. We will know for sure if it's changed its course. Yeah, if it experiences non-gravitational acceleration like a Oumuamua did, then yeah, there'll be no doubt at all that it is actually artificial. Close quarters. I saw the latest news. They say it's smaller than first thought, surrounded by water vapor, hence the glow, and spewing out vast amounts of CO gas. Well, actually, there's been a little bit of an update since then, close quarters. We'll go through that. But first of all, I want to focus on your comments in the notice, which I've now deleted, the notice. John Leonard Wolson says, hi, Ben. Always looking forward to your expert videos. Thanks, John. Hugo Rune, hi, Ben. I'm looking forward to this. Neil Peel Paranormal Peep Show. Cool. I will try to sit in on it. Please do. Red Snapper, did you watch Invasion, the 2021 TV series? I've not even heard of that. What's Invasion? Let's have a look. I imagine, is it anything to do with alien invasion? TV show, right. 21 TV series. It received a mix of critical responses. Earth is visited by an alien species that threatens humanity's existence. Events unfold in real time through the eyes of a handful of ordinary people across the globe as they struggle to make sense of the increasing chaos around them. All right. I see. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I see. Right. Interesting. That does sound interesting, I must say. That does sound very interesting. Hello, Johnny Fettler. Welcome. How are you? Welcome. Glad you're here. Okay, season 3 has just started. I see. Right. We'll have to catch up with that. To binge watch the first and second season if I can find the time. But thanks for the recommendation, Red Snapper, who's not here. Art's channel said you need to play the 2001 music. Oh, right, yeah, that's Also sprach Zarathustra by Richard Strauss. Yeah. Hugo Rune says, hello, Red, you got his name on. Oh, right, it's Red Snapper saying 3rd. Okay. See, that's how serious I am with my multi-dots elbow cough. All right, my goodness me. I think you'd had a few spliffs by then. Then Owen McDonald wrote to me. Now Owen McDonald is a YouTuber who's shortly going to do a live stream with me. He's interviewed Rin Michaelis, and I've agreed to come onto his channel at some point. And we have someone called, we have 6EQUJ5 who says 6-ish. Now, how many of you know what that stands for? What that means? 6EQUJ5. Anyone? I'm curious to see if any of you know. I'll put it in the chat so you can actually look at it and tell me what if you know. I'd be impressed to know, because I know what that stands for. Do you? Do you know what it stands for? Let me know, because if one of you knows what that means, I'll be really impressed. I really will be. So yeah, now alien invasion things. Now I'm sure these things are going to become popular at the moment. Red Snapper is hoarding gold tinfoil hats, but he's had quite a few of them now. Yes. So there's a little quiz for you guys. What do those letters and numbers mean? Craig, it didn't take long. The very first comment, the wow signal. Exactly. It's the wow signal. Well done, Crafty Nihilist. Wow signal, 1977 signal by Jerry Elner. Here we go. Bit of trivia. That was quick. And there it is, 6EQUJ5. Wow, that's where Jerry Elner wrote that after it was picked up on August 15th, 1977 by Ohio State University's Big Air Radio Telescope. Yeah, that's right. Hello, Hatchie. How are you? Welcome, Hatchie. How are you? Right, yeah. So, yeah, look out for me on Owen McDonald's YouTube. Right, so here's the observation schedule, actually, for 3i Atlas. From late July to September, it will be possible to view to view it from the Earth. Indeed, Earth-based telescopes are working hard right now. These include orbital telescopes like SPHEREx, which I'm going to be talking about, and Hubble, and those further out like JWST. Now, I'll come on to JWST because people said, well, surely that can see it because it's not in Earth orbit. Right. Early October, it'll be in the solar glare. So we know that. So it'll actually be roughly that'll just about when it has its conjunction with Mars. It'll then be in the solar glare. So how do we watch it? Well, there's some reasons for watching it. Early December, it emerges after perihelion. That's when perihelion is its closest point of approach to the sun. If it emerges, it may change course behind the sun. As I explained in previous videos, Avi Loeb theorizes that when it's behind the sun, out of sight from the Earth, that's the perfect place to carry out a reverse O-berth maneuver. In other words, slow down and enter solar orbit. Close. Right, here we go. Close Quarters says some part of space our flying mystery is supposed to have originated from. It came, yeah. Funny enough, some people say it came from the same part of the sky as the wow signal. That's not quite true. It actually came from about 3 or 4 degrees away, and when you consider the vast distances of space, that could translate to a long, long way away. Depending on how far you are from the Earth, it could be billions of light years away from where the wow signal originated. So let's get on to Avi Loeb's blog. Okay, so he starts with this one, and I'll just show it to you. This is where I want to start with because we'll go through all these. We'll go through some of them anyway. Here we go. The challenges of obtaining resolved images of interstellar objects. And he says here, the image of 3i Atlas, imaged by the Very Large Telescope in Chile on the 4th of July, 2025. That's just when it was discovered. From a distance of, it was discovered a couple of days earlier, 3.5 Earth-Sun separations, along with its projected surface brightness profile. The angular resolution of our telescopes is about 1,000 times worse than necessary to revolve an object which is a few kilometers in size. In other words, it doesn't occupy a large enough part of the celestial sphere. Given its trajectory, the nucleus of the new interstellar object 3i Atlas cannot be resolved from Earth or space with our existing telescopes. If the nucleus is 10 kilometers in diameter, then its angular size would only be about 10 milliarc seconds at closest So that's CPA to the Earth from a distance about twice Earth-Sun separation. If NASA chooses to construct an optical interferometer on the moon during its Artemis program, if it gets there, yeah, we're not doing that tonight. We're not doing the moon tonight, guys, please. No, we'll leave the moon. This can only detect stars much brighter than 3i because of the limit imposed on their exposure time by atmospheric turbulence. An interferometer on the moon would avoid the phase shifts caused by atmospheric turbulence on Earth, with a baseline of 700 meters and 1 meter mirrors operating visible wavelengths. Such a facility would reach the angular resolution. Okay, well, I'm going to skip through a little bit here, just because some of this is a little bit dated based on what we've discovered since. But he says here, high-resolution imaging can also be obtained from a camera that flies close to an interstellar object. And he mentions the Juno spacecraft and the high-rise camera on the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. We'll come back to that. Those could be our only option, actually. Those could be our only options. And then this one here, new insights into today's research notes. This is just his handwritten notes here. He's got very neat handwriting compared to me. Before my morning jog at sunrise, I sketched a model for the dust outflow around the new interstellar object. It appears as a fuzzy globe in Hubble Space Telescope images. And he just talks about we've talked about this now. His coincidences regarding its trajectory, which of course is said to, they say it's a coincidence. That, what's her name? The woman who was in that documentary. I've forgotten her name. The one saying it wasn't Jill Tarter. I made a mistake. It was someone else who swore at him on a Zoom call. She literally swore at Abby on a Zoom call, Abby Loeb, which is not very. And then we talk about this is not very scientific. And he talks about the dust flow. Again, this is a bit dated considering what's happened since. I mean, when I decided to do this live stream, I didn't know what has happened was about to happen. And he talks about the mass loss rates here. And it says here, this is interesting, the derived column density, basically the amount of dust which has been ejected from the object so far, is too low for it to be opaque. That means there's not enough of it to block light. This suggests that the observed reddening of the spectrum of 3i Atlas reflects the red surface of 3i Atlas as characteristic of the surfaces of Kuiper Belt objects like Arakoth. Yeah, that's a comic, Arakoth. Funnily enough, things in that part of space tend to turn red because of they're exposed to cosmic rays and ultraviolet light. If you remember, Oumuamua was slightly red as well. And it turns out Pluto is slightly red, and Eris and all these other ones. Hail Eris! All hail Discordia. And it says here, the low opacity of the dust suggests that the reflected light originates mostly from the surface of 3i Atlas. We went through that last week. If 3i Atlas is not a rock made of heavy elements based on these considerations, what could it be? One possibility is an iceberg made of hydrogen or helium, which are more abundant in interstellar space. The problem is that hydrogen iceberg would easily be evaporated by starlight. Yeah, not just sunlight, starlight. Right. So here's hoping the data collected in the coming months will reveal more details about 3i Atlas as it approaches the sun and gets brighter and warmer. Turning the heat on 3i Atlas may reveal its true nature. Well, that's true. I mean, there's several questions though. If it does, it may start looking. It may reveal itself to be a more conventional comet, but that's becoming increasingly unlikely with the recent news since he wrote this article. And secondly, will we have instruments capable of monitoring it during that period? Because during its closest point of approach to the sun, it's going to be invisible, except possibly by repurposing the Mars mission cameras. We'll leave that one there. Is 3i Atlas made of antimatter? I won't go into that in detail because it's very technical. But there's it's a kind of thought experiment where he says, well, could it actually be producing antimatter? I mean, hello, Pete. How are you? Welcome, Pete. Nice to see you. I like your avatar. I'll actually go through some of your comments now. DJ Beetle was wondering how fast, in fractions of light speed, it is traveling. Well, I'm not going to do the maths now, but it's 68 kilometers per second. Now, the light travels, if you're using this European measure, at 300,000 kilometers per second. So, very small proportion, very small indeed. Close quarters, some part of space. Oh, right, I've done that one. Yeah, I've done that one. Green tea. Hasn't there been a bunch of whispering about a surprise event on the September the 28th or 29th? I think it started with The Simpsons, as mentioned in other media or movies. Yes. In fact, last week we talked about Jeremy Corbell talking about that. Yeah. Hugo, you mentioned Artemis earlier. Please tell me more. Well, I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, Hugo, but basically the Artemis mission is a upcoming supposed manned mission to the moon. A more modern version of Apollo. Yes. Hugo Rune. All hail Eris. All hail Discordia. Damn it! I forgot the source. Hugo, never whistle while you're pissing. That's a clue. Okay. The alien mothership with humans-looking reptilians on board, and the Beastmaster is the only person to stop them. Well, God knows. Who knows what's there? I mean, it's a big question. I mean, isn't it? We've got 33, Masonic 33 listeners right now, or viewers. Hello, Nihilist Lives Matter. I tend to times that by 5 based on YouTube, the way YouTube are trying to downplay me. Hello, Pablo Rosales. Pablo Rosales, how are you doing? Welcome, Pablo. Welcome. So yeah, I mean so the antimatter thing is antimatter. Antimatter is a bit of a mystery because it existed at the beginning of the universe. It existed probably when antimatter and matter were created. There's probably an almost equal amount of each, and then they sort of mingled and annihilated each other. But there was slightly more matter than antimatter. As a result, there was what happened was all the large quantities of antimatter, that is atoms and bigger, atoms or accumulations of atoms, were vanished, and what we were left with was just tiny amounts nothing was left. But antimatter is generated by radioactive decay, and indeed, Avi says in even something like a banana, he says even a banana, the radioactive elements in a banana, which are very, very small in number. Otherwise, you die when you eat a banana. You die of radiation poisoning. But even those produce 1 positron per hour. A positron is the antimatter equivalent of a proton. In other words, of a neutron. No, electron, idiot. Electron. An electron being having a negative electrical charge as it goes around the nucleus of the atom, which has a positive electric charge because it's full of protons and neutrons. And an antimatter atom, which doesn't exist anymore, there's no antimatter atoms. What you'd find is you'd have a positron going around the outside with a positive electric charge, and the nucleus would have a positive electric charge. Sorry, a negative electric charge, which would have the equivalent of protons, which would be negatrons and neutrons. Now, there were no antimatter galaxies or antimatter asteroids or anything like that out there. But there are. Antimatter has been created in very small amounts, subatomic particles. Hello, Rhiannon. How are you? Apologies for being late. No worries. Welcome, Rhiannon. And Sweeps Foxman. Oh, my goodness me. Greetings, all. Does Ben believe that astronomers are actually free enough to report their findings on 3i Atlas? We know a lot of different speculations have been offered, and actually James Webb viewed it. Right. Sweeps, I would say yes. Now, this doesn't mean that, obviously, with James Webb, we'll come on to James Webb because it's taken them more than 3 weeks to publish the data. The problem, if they tried to cover it up, if they tried to suppress any information from James Webb or from any of the other big telescopes, the very powerful ones, it wouldn't work because they operate as part of a network which covers many, many different observatories. And there are literally thousands of astronomers all over the world involved. I actually said this on. I put a comment. Actually, let me just read the comment I put on Simon Holland's video because it just says it all. It just says it all. Explain what I mean. What I mean is that it's only a matter of time before. Actually, I won't show you my history because I don't want you to see my history, my viewing history on YouTube. So where is it? Here we go. SETI policy revealed. Here we are. This is an interesting video. I won't play it.
That's one good thing. Capital One.
I was going to come on.
An epic journey to switch internet provider.
No.
Come on, hurry up.
Right,
okay. This is the video. SETI policy revealed we wait to share NHI data. Now, I put it here. I mean, this applies to the EU SETI network, but it could equally apply to James Webb. The problem is there are simply too many telescopes. If you compare it to covering up a UFO crash retrieval like the Roswell incident, this was a strictly local affair, and so it's comparatively easy. The government merely had to seal off the location, remove the decisive physical evidence, and then put out a fake weather balloon cover story. That wouldn't work with a signal from space. Astronomy is the one true democratic science. All the data is above our heads for anyone to see. Whatever they want to suppress, assuming they could persuade everyone in the huge international network, hundreds of astronomers from Cheshire to Namibia to keep stum, somebody else would eventually spot it. This is the problem sweeps, you see. What would happen if the people involved with James Webb, technically, if they're in control, I'll put your comment back up here again. If they're technically in control of that particular telescope and there's a small team, they might decide we can't tell people about this. We've discovered something we have to keep quiet. And then the CIA show up and says, don't tell anyone. They do this with UFOs all the time, as you know. But sooner or later, another telescope would spot it. That's the problem. So in my view, I don't think they could. But, well, we'll see, won't we? When was the last time we went to the moon? Probably yesterday, Hachi, on an anti-gravity spaceship. Hello, body technician. Welcome. No problem, Hugo. I'm glad to explain that to you. I will be. Should that happen, I'll be covering that in detail. If the aliens come, send Kamala Harris. They will run. I don't... Do you really want her to... Imagine if she was our emissary for the entire world. Oh, dearie me. Robert... Hello, Robert. Nordics. Well, who knows what they might be? Hugo. Yes, Hugo Artemis Rune. That's right. You are. You are. That's right. Your name. Close quarter says here. If we were the only life in the universe, it seems an awful waste of space. Yes, that's from the film Contact. It is. It's a quote by Carl Sagan, who was open to the idea of life out there. The problem with Carl Sagan is he turned against ufology sometime in the 60s. He was originally interested in ufology and he turned against it. And eventually, when he got around to doing Cosmos, the otherwise very good series in 1980, he put an entire segment in there debunking it. I mean, what's this? It's probably filled with the eyeball aliens from Alien Earth. Oh, dearie me. Okay, so, what's this here? Why not, Ben? Oh, you mean, you're talking about, is that what we're talking about with Hugo? Yeah, I don't think they could cover stuff up. I really don't. Not in astronomy. You can't cover stuff up in astronomy. Leon, what's this purple Christmas cracker hat with a number that keeps coming up against people's comments? I don't know. What's this? Tip, use Brave browser. It's right. Okay, I see. Right. Hatchie says, apparently there's a large spacecraft on its way to Earth. Anyone else picked up any info on that propaganda? Well, if it is propaganda, because, well, according to Avi Loeb, this is what we might be looking at right now. I can't read all your comments. I'm terribly sorry. All right. Is it to make people want to keep posting, Ben? Maybe. Who knows? Close quarter says Sagan probably knew more than he could say. I'm sure he did. I mean, if you actually watch Dark Skies, there's that scene where they take Carl Sagan into a room and they say, "Hey, this is the alien, but you must pretend it's not real." Oh, the prize is a date with me. That's right. You get a date with me as the first prize, okay? Second prize is a week away with me, and the third prize is you marry me. Okay? There you have it. Okay, so Avi, basically, and it's not made of antimatter. Large objects can't be made of antimatter. There's no antimatter left in the universe. But Antimatter can be produced. It's produced all the time in particle accelerators. It can be produced naturally. It's produced naturally by objects like bananas, as I explained, in small amounts. But these are very small amounts. They're subatomic, only small particles, subatomic. No one's ever come across an antimatter atom, for example, or let alone a collection of atoms, which would be a larger object. DJ, Dark Skies is a very underrated TV show. I thought it was good. It was written by Bryce Zabel, a guy I know, actually. I met him at Contact. He was at Contact. So, yeah. All right, so that's that. That was what that article was about. It's possible, like I said, I put a comment saying, whether they could produce antimatter and use it as a source of fuel. Now, we can't do that with our technology. For every single, Newton of fuel of force you get off an antimatter rocket motor, for example, it costs £10 million to produce it. So it would be no point unless you could somehow produce antimatter in a vast amounts. In other words, in macroscopic amounts. So, for example, atoms, a number of atoms, preferably a large number of them. So if you could have like an antimatter, a lump of antimatter, which you could hold in. But what could you use to hold it? That's the problem, because the moment you touch anything, it would annihilate you. You pick up an antimatter block, you'd annihilate it with your hand, and it would annihilate your hand. And there'd be a huge explosion which would kill you as well. 100%. It's actually 100% economic efficiency. Energy economy from an antimatter-matter reaction. Yeah. Hello, Phuket. How are you? Welcome. Late? No, not to worry, mate. You can come and go as you please in this particular live stream. Okay, so let's go on to the really interesting bit, shall we? Right, this is the really interesting bit. 3I Atlas is large and releases carbon dioxide. It's this article here. This was just before the James Webb data came out. The JWST then came out. But this is very interesting here. Right, these are 3 images taken from the SPHEREx Space Observatory. The 3X, here we are, SPHEREx. I'll show you what it looks like. Because it's a strange. This is not like a normal. This is actually in space. Here we go. That's what it looks like, but it's actually been launched into space now. Here's an artist's impression of it. It's actually in space. Space is the perfect place to put an observatory because it's above the atmosphere. There's telescopes on the ground. It's like they're looking out of a muddy pond because of all the atmosphere. That's why you often get telescopes placed on top of high mountains. The perfect example is the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, which was instrumental in detecting 3I Atlas. Here we go. This is where it gets very interesting, because what I think what the astronomers were hoping to find is a large amount of water being produced by this comet. That's what if it was a comet, if it is that. And it just says they've reported tantalizing new data on the interstellar object 3I Atlas. Observations made between August the 8th and the 12th. That's after the JWST data was released. JWST has taken much longer to release their data. Despite what I said to Sweeps, I do think there is some reluctance here. The new observations reveal a cloud of carbon dioxide around 3I Atlas, corresponding to a mass loss rate of 70 kilograms per second. So that's about the weight of a grown man. I'm a bit more than 70, but someone smaller than me, per second. No water cloud was detected, with an upper limit of 4.5 kilograms per second on the water mass loss rate. So that's an order of magnitude below previous water detection claims. Now, isn't that interesting? Because this is exactly what Avi was saying. He said the original water detection data was faulty, and he was right. Yet it was repeated as fact by the media and by these other people. What's the name of that bitch? Hang on, what's the name of that stupid bitch? Oh, here we go. What's the name? Let me see. Who discovered Oumuamua? All right, it wasn't. See, Avi's not credited. Robert Work is the guy who credited it. Now, let me just see if I can. It's best thing to go through pictures. Oh, she's in that bloody documentary. There's no pictures of her. I'm gonna have to go to. I'm determined to find out who this person is. I'm gonna have to. Here we go. An alien encounter. Right. This is. If you've not seen this, please do watch it. It's worth downloading actually because it's. I won't show too much of it because of copyright issues, but it is itself is like. It's
to understand the origin, evolution.
Oh, that guy, funny enough, that guy's been interviewed on that BBC UFO series. Where is she? Where is that? This is that dumb cow who's like swearing at Avi Loeb. Where is she? I'll find her. Oh, he seems quite nice, this Scottish guy. I quite like him. But then there's this other cow here. Oh, Seth Shostak. To hell with him. Where is she? Because she's the one who was like being interviewed lately, saying it was all a coincidence. The whole thing was a coincidence. Of course, the BBC have to have their women and people of colour, don't they? Here she is. Here she is. Where is she? There she is. There we go.
With the Space Guard survey,
this is
Congress mandated that we study the sky and find at least 90%.
Dr. Karen Meach, that's her, University of Hawaii. This is that woman who was swearing at Avi Loeb on the Zoom call. She swore at him on a Zoom call. And she's also one saying that the whole trajectory thing is a coincidence. But she seems to have like stolen the show. Like this is actually pretty good for the BBC, and it's really interesting. But really, Avi is not interviewed at all. It's they have her and all these other people, the Seth Shostak idiots. Tossers like Seth Shostak or Tosser. I mean, maybe it's unfair to call him that, but he's anti UFO big time. And he's anti the whole ideas that Avi talks about. But it's Karen Meach. That's you can't see her. Oh right. Oh sorry. Let me put you on here. There we go. That's her there. Okay. Sorry, I didn't even have it on screen share. All right. But anyway, so she's the one the mainstream astronomers have all been saying it's a comet because we detected loads of water coming out of it. And the whole trajectory thing is just a coincidence. And as always, I was yelling at the TV screen saying, but I've made this point before. Where's the statistical ceiling? Where's the cutoff point? Otherwise, you could win the lottery 5 weeks in a row and say it was just a coincidence. Because there's nothing physically possible in this universe. It's so unlikely. You can just say that can never happen. Right? Oh, Hugo. Oh, Hugo. Oh, Hugo. Hugo's he's lit the touch paper. He's pulled the pin. I also think it may be a coincidence. Sorry. Well, all right, Hugo. The thing about it is, okay, and you just brought out the point I want to make. Where's your cutoff point? Where is your statistical ceiling? Because there's nothing in this entire universe which is so unlikely you can say that just cannot happen. You just can't say that because. You can't. It's impossible to say that. And if winning the national lottery 5 weeks in a row is incredibly unlikely, it's 13 million to 1 raised to the power of 5. That is a number too big to contemplate. But if you buy a ticket, if you're in it to win it, it could happen. There's nothing physically stopping that from happening. So I'd say to Hugo, and this Dr. Karen Meach. All right, well, you could say 500 to 1 chance it does happen. Yes, it does happen. And maybe that's it. But then, and let me just go through because we got some new posters here. Someone there. The strange day. Yeah. Oh, you're going to the strange days. I'd like to get that. I can't get to that, unfortunately. But it looks good, Julian, and I hope you enjoy it if you go. We're going to Lapis together anyway. Hello, the vicar. Hello. My goodness me, you don't look like a vicar. You look like some kind of alien. You look like Indrid Cold, the smiling man. They say it has no tail. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Because they were saying previously it did have. Firstly, they were saying, well, it's a comet because it's producing water and it has a tail. Okay, little or no water. I should swerve the MSM a bit more. Not swerve it, but just take it with a pinch of salt. It has 2 tails, one blue, CO2 and CO. Then we hear about the Propi prophecies. It has 1 tail, but it's not really a tail. It's an anti-tail. I used to tune in many years ago. Whatever happened to Miles Johnston and all his basis stuff? Well, Vicar, I'm glad to see you back. Miles is still going strong. He has the basis project still going on. Yeah, he's still out doing his thing. I saw Miles at Warminster. He didn't go to Warminster in the end, but I saw him at Devices. I stayed with him. I did say maybe, but I'm happy to be convinced, says Hugo. All right, Hugo. Well, we'll see. We will. Hello, Mark Young. How do you do? Let's see if it stops by Mars. Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I started another detox over this, actually, by the way. Bushcraft Ninja, hello. Hey, Ben, what's the crack? Long time no see. Nice to see you back, Bushcraft Ninja. I do recognise your name. Yes, yes, it points forward, DJ, and we'll say a bit more about that. Well, I did mention it last week, but I'll say a bit more about that. so Hugo, it turns out Avi was right. Avi said that they were premature to call out this as a production of water. He says it didn't work out. He says that the actual data was flawed and they jumped to conclusions because it just fitted in with the normality of the world, which they wanted it to be. They wanted it to be a comet, so they took flawed data and they concluded that it was a comet. Avi called them out on it and he was right. So it says no water is in gas form as identified. Some absorption features in the reflected spectrum of the surface were consistent with a mix of water and carbon dioxide ices combined with organics, as is often found in the surface of Kuiper Belt objects. Could it be that Atlas is not a water-rich comet, as envisaged by comet experts when discovered? Yeah. The SPHEREx images show that 3i Atlas as a point source. No dust coma was resolved, implying that the glow of scattered sunlight around the object in its Hubble Space Telescope image is compact and amounts to a small amount of dust. We've already worked out it's very thin. It's not opaque. SPHEREx images were taken. Can you see this? Oh, I'll show it to you. Oh, yeah. Were taken at specific wavelengths near the characteristic emission lines of water and these other substances. No coma was detected in water or carbon monoxide. It's normally, as Angry Astronaut was saying, the two go together, the CO and CO2. CO2 images shows a symmetric cloud around 3i Atlas with a brightness that declines with projected distance, and this corresponds with a steeply declining CO2 density. Right. Most interesting, the flux detected at a wavelength of 1 micrometer from 3i Atlas suggests a large nucleus with a diameter of 46 kilometers. If this represents a solid body, then the mass of 3i Atlas must be 1 million times bigger than 2i Borisov, and much, much bigger than Oumuamua. This makes little sense, and he brings out the 10,000 year thing, because the reservoir of solid objects in interstellar space and the 10,000 year thing, which I talked about last week. Alternatively, 3i Atlas may have targeted the inner solar system by technological design. Exactly. The lack of cometary tail in the Hubble space image is evidence there's not much dust around 3i Atlas with a particle scale of the wavelength of sunlight. In that case, the observed reddening spectrum should originate from the surface of the object. The object is large and dominates the reflected sunlight rather than the dust cloud around it. And of course, as he said last week, it's producing its own light as well. Then he brings up this, and he talks about it's possible this is the ablation of a millimeter thick layer from the surface over a period of 10 years. That'll be enough to produce the coma we're observing. And then we come on, and here's like a summary one here. What do we know so far? And then I decided that I would do the live stream on Monday, and I thought, well, I'll put up the notice Tuesday and do the live stream Wednesday. That is today. Oh, Rhiannon says, yeah. Oh, this is interesting. I thought it looked like a massive turd. Yeah, and did someone else say that? Yeah. Yeah, this is, if you Google pictures of Oumuamua, you'll get this. It's actually called the turd picture rather rudely. This is what you'll get. Pictures like this. I even use that to illustrate my interstellar object portal. The thing about it is that's not a photograph of Oumuamua. That's an artist's impression. The best photo we have of Oumuamua is a red dot. Oh, Sweep says something here. All right. Oh, Sweep says here, James Webb viewed it in infrared. Its data was then sealed and denied the public. NASA not in control. STSI is, and they control what's released. Right. Well, Hugo, Sweeps. If that's the case, I mean, it is possible that the small team around JWST actually decided to suppress the information. But in the long run, they must know it won't work. So another telescope will spot it. That's the thing. So yeah, a big. Oh yeah, someone else said here. If you get a big turd incoming, yeah. But the thing is, that's the very fact they've made it look like a natural object. I think is deceptive. Oumuamua was, with the artist's impression you see, the turd picture that's not. We don't know it looks like that. For all we know, it could be square, it could be structured, it could be an artificial object. We know it's very long and thin or flat. So it's not like potato-shaped or spherical like most natural objects. Okay, I'll come on to that in a minute. Let me finish this green tea. I might have to ask you to repeat it, but let me just carry on with this. Okay, hopefully you can. Let me show you the article. So I already decided I was going to do this live stream on Monday. I put up the notice on Tuesday, and I said I'll do it Wednesday. I'm glad I chose not to do it Tuesday, because on Tuesday night, just after I went to bed on Tuesday night, which would have been after the live stream if I did it last night, so basically last night, this appeared. The first Webb telescope observations of 3I Atlas, and I used this image in the notice. So James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful astronomical instrument that we know of, after bloody hell, how long? Where did I write it down? I wrote down exactly when it was. It was before SPHEREx. Yes, on the 6th of August, the 6th of bloody August, JWST did an observation of 3I Atlas. And they sat on it. They sat on it for over 3 weeks. And now they decide to tell us. I wonder why. Maybe Sweeps has got a point. Maybe they were thinking, oh my God, we can't tell people. We're going to have to be very careful what we say. In which case, as I said, it won't work in the long run. But anyway, here we go. This is a few seconds before my flight to Copenhagen lifted off the ground at Boston's Logan Airport. He was on his way to a conference. I received an email with the paper reporting the first Webb telescope data from the 6th of August on 3I Atlas. The 15-minute wait for onboard Wi-Fi connectivity to show off felt like an eternity, but the wait was worth it. The stunning Webb data from the 6.5mm infrared telescope with unprecedented spectral sensitivity is worth the wait. If you want to know what 3I Atlas looks like, it's behind me. There we go. That's it. It's in space. It's not in orbit, actually. It's a Lagrange point. And the Lagrange point is basically a Lagrange point is a point in space where gravitational fields of different bodies are balanced to create a kind of neutral zone. And the James Webb Space Telescope has been placed there. Now, I thought that might give it a better view of 3I when it goes behind the sun, but apparently it won't, and I'll explain why later. In short, the Webb data, let me just go back to screen share. In short, the Webb data confirms the existence of carbon dioxide, just like we've been hearing from the SPHEREx data, with significantly lower levels of water and carbon monoxide, as reported by SPHEREx, as I just explained. Whereas the Webb telescope has a much better spectral and spatial resolution. SPHEREx mapped the spherically symmetric CO2 plume 100 times farther than 3I Atlas, demonstrates that it extends beyond 38,000 kilometers. That's very long. I mean, that's beyond the distance of the Earth to the Moon. So this is a huge coma. Now, this is 3I Atlas does not feature a cometary tail that extends beyond the width of the coma. Now, again, the Karen Meachers of this world was saying, oh, yes, it's got a tail. It's got a tail, and look, here it is. And again, it was a very, very thin, tenuous tail, much smaller than the anti-tail that I reported on last week. But it turns out, and I did say, if it's even there, because it was so tenuous. And again, do they have a perception bias and are willfully falsely interpreting false data. I mean, this is what the skeptics accuse us woo-woos of doing all the time. But anyone is capable of doing this. Anyone is capable of cherry picking, and we do it subconsciously. We do it all the time, subconsciously. And it says here that this tail is not seen suggests that 3i Atlas does not shed a lot of dust particles of the size comparable to the wavelength of sunlight, and that the reflected sunlight originates from the surface of 3i Atlas. So basically, he's saying it's a lot bigger. This implies a diameter up to 46 kilometers based on an albedo of 5%. That's the average reflectivity of an asteroid. It may be even bigger than that or smaller, depending on the reflectivity of the object, which may not have a 5% albedo. So it turns out the tail wasn't even there in the first place. So basically, the mainstream astronomers, the people who call Avi names and swear at him on Zoom calls, they are seeing tails that are not there and water that is not there. So do we trust their judgment on anything else that comes out in the future? And that's going to be a big deal, because 3i Atlas is going to get very, very hard to see in the next couple of months. Infrared spectroscopy of 3i at a heliocentric distance, 3.3 Earth-Sun separations. That's how far away it was when this was done. Was taken with the NIRSpec instrument on board the Webb telescope. They reveal a prominent carbon dioxide-dominated coma with enhanced outgassing in the direction of the sun, as well as the presence of much less water vapor and carbon monoxide. The derived ratio of CO2 to H2O. Again, basically, he's repeating. Basically, this confirms what the SPHEREx saw. And this is the diagram here of the spectrum. These are the, see, very high for CO2, low for water, low for CO. There you go. And there we are, wavelength in micrometers. And there we are, water you see is that's the water level, 2.5, as he explained. 2.5 micrometers is its wavelength. There we go. So it's 129 kilograms. It's gone up from what we saw for SPHEREx. 129 kilograms for CO2 from Atlas. 6.6 for water. That's very low. 14 for CO. Again, quite low. If the optically thin dust plume makes for small contribution to the total redness spectrum, the flux detected at a wavelength, there we are, suggests a nucleus with a diameter of 46 kilometers. This is huge. It's really big. This puts it in the league of one of the giant comet size. If it is a comet, it'll be the size of the giant comets. And it just says it's 1 million times bigger than 2I Borisov. We don't know what its mass is yet. We would need to measure its gravitational fluctuations as it passes Mars for that. But yeah. And he talks about how the amount of rocky material per unit volume in its space is smaller by a factor of 10,000. There you go. So this is, we're either very, again, the skeptics will say this is a coincidence. It's a 10,000 to 1 coincidence. Here we go. And it says here the glow around, so it's no cometary tail at all. The glow around 3i Atlas could originate from the reflection of sunlight by fragments of CO2 ice that Atlas sheds rather than dust. These icy fragments evaporate in the sunlight and create the extended spherically symmetrical CO2 cloud around Atlas. So again, though, is it just being fragmented, or is it actually being projected by some intelligence? And he talks about, again, the millimeter thick layer over a period of a few years. What lies under the outer skin remains unknown. The high CO2 to HO ratio is puzzling. Again, I think if there had been a lot of water coming out of this, we could say it's likely to be like a comet, like a comet that we would recognize. There's only one previous comet with a similar extreme ratio named C26R2, but its image shows a clear cometary tail and doesn't look anything like the plume around 3i Atlas. So this is more weird than the weirdest comet we've ever seen beforehand. The Webb team conjectures the anomalous composition of the gas plume might be the result of high reflectance or reduced heat penetration through the surface, increasing the albedo from 5% to the maximum value of 100 for a mirror. Oh, blimey. Reduced the estimate diameter from 46 to 10 kilometers this still poses an untenable demand on the rocky material in interstellar space. So yeah, again, it's still too big. In other words, and again, I mean, it's suggesting that it's currently reflecting back sunlight. That's what it's saying. And then he says this is a trajectory. The way to resolve it, that in other words, the obvious solution is a trajectory was designed to target the inner solar system, with the coincidence of its firstly retrograde movement, the fact that it is zodiacal. So basically, it's within the disk of space where the planets orbit. I think they all orbit within 5% of the celestial equator. Apart from, I think Pluto is slightly outside it, but all the others are within 5%. And the fact that it's coming close to all the planets apart from Earth. And of course, Karen Meach and people like that will say it's a coincidence. Well, you have to add all these things together. Right, it just talks about the CO2 output here. In the Uber drive towards the Niels Bohr Institute in Copenhagen, excuse me, I was glad to see a new preprint this morning advocating the search for technological signatures from interstellar objects. All right, let's have a look at it quickly, because this is all right, this is the paper here. Okay. Some of the authors of the paper criticised my advocacy to consider such signatures over the past month, but when a reporter with a filming crew asked me yesterday about my response, I told her I avoid mud wrestling because it gets everyone dirty. Instead, I prefer to play chess, and apparently this approach appears to be paying off. As Oscar Wilde noted, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I love this. This paragraph is great because you know what it means. It's the closest you're going to get to saying, "Told you so, suckers." Nice one, Avi. Nice one. Okay, let's have a look at your comments. I've got 40. Well, I reckon I've probably got about probably a couple of hundred people watching, but YouTube is saying 40. Green Tea say, a random question. If it's discovered we've made contact with another species, what was the outcome or content of the interaction they're wanting to hide? Well, that's a question that must have come up before, because of course 3i Atlas is not our first interaction with an extraterrestrial intelligence. They go back since before we became intelligent. As I said last week, sleep easy in your bed. This is just one more UFO, basically. Hugo Roon says, sorry for the delay. Good evening. So I was in the process of skinning up. Or nothing gets between you and that, does it? No, that's right. There we go. There we go. Sorry. NASA cannot explain why it's not speeding up. Mark, what do you mean? I mean, is it exhibiting non-gravitational acceleration right now? Because we should know where it goes, because it's passing several large objects, most notably the sun. So it's very eccentric. It has a very eccentric trajectory, the most eccentric ever. But it is going to turn slightly. It's going to execute a very shallow bend as it passes through the gravity well of the sun. And of course, this will include other objects like Mars and Venus. So if it is actually exhibiting a different kind of acceleration right now, or different kind of velocity, please could you find the source for me? Because I've not heard about this. All right. Who else is here? Tor Engen. Yeah, Anna Paulina Luna wants NASA to move the Juno Jupiter probe to analyze 3i Atlas, but NASA are not keen to do it. Apparently, no. Apparently, NASA are saying it's not possible because there's not enough fuel. Avi is advocating it. It was actually, this would be a great idea, and I'm glad Luna is onto this, because Avi's actually been talking to Luna about this. As you know, she's very pro UFOs. Apart from Eric Burleson, she's probably the most based Congress person. Because this could be our only chance. And we will have a chance on the 3rd of October on Mars. But, we need to get another chance. And we have the Juno probe. The Juno probe's finished its mission. It's going to be deorbited in November, apparently. Why not let it go out with a bang rather than just a whimper? Send it to intercept 3i Atlas, or get as close to 3i Atlas as you can, to get some really good observations on it. Wouldn't that be fantastic? The problem is there's only one problem. 3i Atlas might not stick to its current trajectory. It might change. Close quarters. If I start hearing Vogon poetry suddenly blasting out in the atmosphere, I know we've had it. Yes, close quarters. I'm glad you're a Hitchhikers fan. The Earth, if they are here to build an intergalactic bypass, then our planet is one in the way, then we'll know about it, I expect. Right, here we go. Let me just see. And Torwengen, yeah, we've seen many times that educators deny things for them. Like a platypus was proven to be a fake. It's a psychological state, yeah. And indeed, the skeptics will say that scientists just don't do this, but they do. They do it like everyone else does. Hello, Welsh Ripper. Welcome. How are you? What do Tyson Fury and Keir Starmer have in common? They've both been bashed around the ring by a Ukrainian. Mark, do you have any? Do you have like a source for this? Because this would put it on the Loeb scale up to 9.5, man. It really would, along with everything else. Because if it has, for example, the anti-tail is actually some kind of reverse thruster, and therefore it would actually, because of Newton's third law, inevitably it would start exhibiting non-gravitational acceleration. In fact, some comets do this naturally anyway, but they do so in a very chaotic way, like a loose firework spinning round. If you have an anti-tail which is specifically vectored, then it would start exhibiting non-gravitational acceleration, which would kind of be a bit of a red flag, wouldn't it? That would be a red line. The thing has TMU lights. Okay, Ben, you mentioned a wavelength in micrometers. Please give me that again. Oh, 2.5 is sunlight, apparently. It's where sunlight gets reflected. Tor, the satellite's apparent tail is an optical illusion caused by its high speed and brightness against the dark sky. Yes, indeed. I mean, Tor, it's interesting you call it a satellite. It's not actually orbiting any planet yet, but it might. It might. I think that's a Freudian slip on your part. The thing about it, Tor, the thing is, the scientists didn't check for that, didn't they? Did they? They didn't check for it. They just saw what they thought was a tail and said, let's just tell them it's a tail so they'll think it's a comet. DJ, I honestly think that the Atlas stuff is interesting and the trajectory is suspect. It is indeed, yeah. It will be an excellent attack plan. Yeah, Mark, possibly. I mean, one thing it's not. I mean, some people are worrying that it's going to change course and crash into the Earth. No, that's not going to happen. The reason why it makes no sense that they would do that. If they were on a kind of impact mission, in other words, this was some kind of bug meteor sent from Clendathu, to quote what DJ B2 said earlier, why would they send it on a course that's completely out of the way, and then change course at the last minute to impact the Earth? Why not send it directly to the Earth? It's not like we have weapons that could deflect it. I mean, the DART mission wouldn't be much good against something like that. Excellent. Yeah, don't eat the Brontitalian Megagalactic Grand Cru cake. Well, I might do if I've had a couple of Pan-Galactic Gargle Blasters. If it's got any sense, it will stay well away from us beauties. Yeah, close quarters. Spontaneous chemical combustion on a speeding rock shooting along in a medium we know little about. The universe does my head in. And me too, yeah, it does. Hello, Haridev. Sumerians contacted them way before us. Yeah, some people actually, it was actually David Sarita. He did an interview with Kerry Cassidy when he connected this to basically Sitchin and his books. Hello, Arts Channel. How are you? Hello, we have here the Teddy and Paddy Bear's Adventures. That's a great name. Hello, how do you do? Yeah, Anunnakis and 3i Atlas can be in Nibiru. Well, this is what Sarita was saying to Kerry. Yeah. Gonna have to get ready for bed now. All right, night, Horianon. Have a good sleep. I hope you can join us on the Hapanmo show tomorrow. Green tea. What does skinny nut mean, ignorant American? Tell him, Hugo. Diane Abbott's been here for years. She's been here. When will that old bag retire? Johns Hopkins created an artificial comet, did they, in 1984? Wow. DJ, could the Atlas object be a container? Robo Mr. H riding a dinosaur comes back. Deary me. Now that's like something from Iron Sky. Arts Channel. Avi Loeb, Uri Geller, Nick Pope, all Mossad. Arts, there's only evidence for one of those guys being in Mossad, and that's Uri Geller. There's no evidence for anyone else. Oh my, what's he here? Oh my God. Christy White Widow Winter. Oh my God. Yeah, I thought I looked at your name and I thought it said Christy Winters for a moment. I thought you were that obnoxious cow who co-hosts Kevin Simp Logan. I can't help watching Kevin Logan. It's one of my hate watches. Oh well, welcome Christy. I'm glad you're not the actual Christy Winters. Here we go. Like, where are we now? Hang on. Close quarters. I'm no physicist. Wouldn't a sudden gas emission from an object in zero gravity potentially alters its speed or direction? It would, inevitably, due to Newton's laws. Yes, any kind of emission would alter its trajectory. The question is, what kind of emission we talking about here? Deliberate or accidental? Because comets emit things which causes them to change trajectory. The question is, would it be deliberate? If it was a real UFO, it would not have this media coverage. Well, Arch, yes, it would, because it's not like your usual UFOs that just pop, are very, very elusive and fly around the atmosphere of the Earth or in low Earth orbit. This is a UFO, which technically it is, which is very large and very visible, and you can't actually cover this up. You can't just pretend that's not there. Things, I mean, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if you were here earlier on the stream, you'd have heard it, and please do watch the recording. But quite clearly, you can't actually cover things up in the sky like this. Not like you do something that's flying in the atmosphere or crashes onto the Earth's surface. These are strictly local affairs. But something flying through the sky out in space can be seen by everybody. So you can't avoid giving it media coverage. That's the thing. This is why I find this so fascinating, because if this turns out to be artificial and it starts demonstrating that fact very obtrusively, there'll be no way they can cover it up. It'll essentially be a revelation for everyone that, this is non-human intelligence exists. Harry Dev, I'm sorry, Ben, but I beg to differ. Oh, don't apologize, Harry. People do it all the time, Harry. Don't worry. It's impossible to know someone's intention just from a hypothesis. It's all a 50-50 chance if it's extraterrestrial. Well, technically, that's true, Harry Dev. I am kind of anthropomorphizing a bit. Yes. And it could be that they just, for some reason that we don't know about, because we're not them, they decide, well, we're going to impact the Earth, but let's fire our missile completely in the opposite direction, have it change course. Phuket, I had a pan-galactic gargle blaster, rather good. Yeah, but it's that slice of lemon, did that bash your brains out? Well, Shripper, we'd be better off observing Diane Abbott. That's thick. What's there to learn from it? Look, just be glad we don't send her on a space mission to another planet, because they would never come near us again, would they? It would be like that Morons from Outer Space film. That's actually a very underrated film, I think. It has really crap reviews, and people have often said they hate it, but I think it's really good. Hi, Christy. White Widow Winter. That's a good name. Sweeps. 40 gigabytes of raw data got by James Webb. 3i Atlas is retrograde. Comes like a probe. Moves against the direction of our planets. That's right. As Avi said himself, this means basically it means that it's approaching the planets head on, which makes it very easy to drop off something, like a flying saucer. Maybe that's where UFOs come from. Gary Robinson, hello. Pride and dignity to you, sir. Gary, I've been meaning to contact you about Devon. Are you going to Devon next week? because I'll contact you privately. Remind me, because Neil said, get in touch with Gary. We need to talk about that. All right, if you're going, let me know. Third Eye Atlas, says Arts Channel, will communicate with the encounters of the third kind, close encounters of the third kind music. Hey! Nigel, Nihilist Lives Matter. My emissions alter my trajectory to the doghouse. Oh dear, well, maybe you should be careful what you eat in front of your wife. Close quarters, yeah, you can't silence all the amateur astronomers. Exactly, there's millions of them. If they spot something, the world will know quickly. Well, you see, this is it, close quarters, and indeed, 2-Eye Borisov was detected by he was first encountered by an amateur astronomer called Gennady Borisov. Hello, David Splendid Isolation. How are you? 3-Eye is only moving at 170,000 miles per hour, too slow for intelligent interstellar travel. Welcome, David. But that's on the assumption that it's been on that speed continuously. When a ship approaches harbour, a ship can, like a ship at sea, can travel up to like 25, 30 knots if it's in a hurry. But when it approaches harbour, it slows down. It'll slow down to just a handful of knots, so it can control itself better as it comes alongside the quay. Otherwise, it might risk crashing into the and trashing the entire harbour. So, and also, it could have come through a wormhole. The fact that, as I said last week, the fact that it appeared so suddenly, just beyond the orbit of Jupiter, indicates it could have suddenly popped out of a wormhole. Right. Go for your bushcraft ninja. Right. Will this be visible from the sky from the UK and Ireland? It will be visible with what kind of telescope you'll need to observe it. Well, there's a video of someone observing it actually with a amateur telescope already. It's a very big amateur telescope, though. It's like, it's a very big one. But yeah, what? 69 Phuket. I've been suspended on full pay from the NHS. Oh no! Look, if you want any help with that, Phuket, please get in touch. You know my email. Just write to me. The email's on the blog. Please do write to me, and maybe I can help you. Because I've had a lot of experience with that. All right, Arts. Amateur astronomers were fooled by the Johns Hopkins comet in 1984. What is this Johns Hopkins comet thing? Hang on. Johns Hopkins comet. Let's just test what Arts Channel is saying here. You see, Johns Hopkins is actually it's a university hospital. It's nothing to do with astronomy. Johns Hopkins researchers study comets. Oh, they do. All right, it's not just medical, right? Including analyze lunar icy sources, observing interstellar comets like Borisov and Oumuamua. That's not a comet, Oumuamua. Right. I don't see it. Could you provide me with a source, please, Arts? We need a monolith to appear. You see, for all we know, Oumuamua might have looked like the bloody monolith from 2001. And let's see, Arthur C. Clarke has shown himself to be by far the most accurate prophetic science fiction author ever. He predicted communication satellites, rockets to the moon, the internet, in Imperial Earth, there's the internet, and also mobile phones. He calls them mini-secs. But everyone. This was in the early 70s. He wrote a book called Imperial Earth, where everyone has a mini-sec, which is like a mobile phone. All right, guys. So I've reached the end of the comments. Okay, so that is the latest, but there's more. Hang on, there's more. Somebody claimed there was a signal coming from 3-Eye Atlas on June the 30th. This was the day before it was discovered. So I'm just going to look into that. It was on a video, and I can't find the bloody video now. But I'll just Google it and see what happens. June 30th, 3-Eye Atlas. Let's have a look and see what we say here. Right, AI overview. There was no signal on June the 30th. Instead, an interstellar object was discovered. Right, yeah, it was basically the following day. Well, hang on, what's this? An unusual structured signal was detected. Let me just show you this, so you can see what I'm doing. An unusual structured signal was detected shortly before the object was confirmed the 3i Atlas, consisting of pulses spaced in groups of 3, with each group separated by 7 seconds. I thought this wasn't true. The signal's origin was traced to the same region of space from which 3i Atlas emerged. There was no signal on June the 30th. So when was it? Hang on. The pulses signal was specifically timed to match the rotation of the Earth, suggesting a connection, a calculation of Earth's location when the message was delivered. Historical astronomical records indicate the directed transmission was sent to that sector of sky more than 2 decades prior. Where does this come from? Where's the source for this shit? What? An unconfirmed story originating from a YouTube video. Oh, I see. Claims that a radio signal preceded the June the 30th discovery of interstellar comet 3i Atlas. I got it down as the 1st of July, but of course it depends on your time zone. However, this is considered a fictional narrative by mainstream media science sources. Mainstream astronomy has found no evidence connecting the discovery of a comet to an extraterrestrial signal. The debunked story. You can read all this. It's basically saying the same thing. The viral YouTube video alleges that a mysterious signal appeared on the hydrogen line. Avi Loeb further speculates the signal was a targeted message, and that was the right. I don't know much about this, but it could be if it appeared the day before or just beforehand. Could it have appeared when this thing? Could it have appeared when? Could the signal have been transmitted when 3i emerged from the wormhole, for example? And maybe there's a connection here. All right, I'm just going back on your comments. Mark Young, what produces 10 million tons of CO2 per day? Well, any politician who's making a speech. This is a link. Yeah. Oh, hello, Dr. Sai. How do you do? Welcome, Dr. Sai. Good to see you again. It could be 3i, could be 13 backwards. Atlas is the name of a Greek. Yeah, Atlas is the name of a Titan whose job was to hold up the Earth. This is interesting, actually, because Atlas is an acronym for the network of telescopes, which include Vera C. Rubin, which detected it. Yeah, Atlas was also a Titan who's in Greek mythology held the world upon his shoulders. And it was bearing the weight of the world on his shoulders. Hence, the famous book by Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged, because she compares like the industrialists to the Atlas holding up the world, and they shrug. And of course, there's disaster. If you've read that book, you'll know what it's about. Oh, right, here we go. Oh, what's this? F.M. Krimgis, chief space scientist, Johns Hopkins University, said the experiment was a stunning success. Release of canisters of barium in 1984. All right. Well, I don't just believe you. Maybe artificial comets can be created. Could it be that there is? It could be that's what we're looking at. Dr. Sai, yeah, the Titan who's condemned to carry the sky or celestial sphere on his shoulders. That's right. Okay. Where are we now? Right, Hugo. No devices in my home. Hate the bloody things, but living without bollocks. Hugo, what are you actually watching now on then? What are you watching at the moment on? DJ. First rule of bloody hell. I better just see who's texting me. I had to leave this on for work. Sorry guys, I couldn't silence it because of work. Hang on a sec. Okay, what? Oh, Rhiannon's contacting me. I'll be in touch, Rhiannon. Thank you. I'll be in touch. Okay, and there's something to do with work. Okay, that's sorted. Right, that's sorted. Right. Actually, I'm old enough to remember Charles Atlas when he was a bodybuilder. Yeah, Charles Atlas. Yeah, he was, wasn't he? He was that was his stage name. Dr. Sai, I believe it's all a fake agenda yet again for some major event that they have planned, and not an alien invasion like some have been led to believe. Well, how would how would a spaceship coming towards us be used for any other major event than an alien invasion? I mean, see, if you watch last week's video, Dr. Sai, you'll know that I actually did address this point, that quite possibly that this might be the sort of black swan event for the old Project Bluebeam. I'm not immune, or I'm not rejecting that concept. The difference. Oh, DJ says here, first rule of IA, shit in. Second rule, shit out. 90% of the chance that's the case, yes. But this is the thing. I mean, the difference is the backslappers are like people like Jeremy Riss, are just the back, and the other backslappers are saying that's definitely going to happen. That's definitely what it is, and I don't accept that at all. I don't. Mark Young, is MJ12 real? Yes, Stanton Friedman actually did a bet with Philip Klass about that and lost, and Klass lost the bet. Two mysterious interstellar objects in the last few years seems to be speeding up. These objects were never a thing before. Two in the last few years. There's been three actually since 2017, close quarters. Oumuamua, Borisov, and Atlas. The thing about it is, though, I mean, is this because there's just more of them now, or is it just because we found the methodology and the technology to spot them? I mean, in my view, probably interstellar objects are flying through the solar system all the time, since time immemorial. And most of them are natural objects, like Borisov, which was a comet. There's no doubt Borisov was just a comet. I mean, 2I Borisov was probably about as boring as interstellar objects get. But Oumuamua, and even more 3I Atlas, which is even weirder than Oumuamua, seems odd, doesn't it? And I mean, there was a depressing couple of years after Oumuamua went past, because a lot of us were thinking like, well, this was our one and only chance to see a piece of interstellar technology in a context that no one could deny. And it just flew through the solar system, went up like that, and went up like that, and just disappeared, and it's gone forever. And then Borisov came along, and we thought, well, that's it. Oh dear, all the universe is going to give us now is a load of bloody, boring, ordinary comets. Well, it turns out that I'm happy to say that lament has been very premature, hasn't it? Very premature indeed. Oh, Dr. Sai, here we go. 2020, the whole world locked down, even countries followed along. I believe it to be a huge agenda, centralized control, one world religion. Yeah, of course, we covered that at the time, didn't we? But I don't see how 3I would fit into that. Last time they wiped out the dinos. Was that deliberate, do you think? Channel. Comet Borisov Johnson. Yeah, well, it had a huge coma, just like his hair, didn't it? The coma of Borisov was like really, really big and spiky, just like Boris's hair. Sweeps Foxman. Could be something we're not supposed to know, an existential threat, but 3I Atlas buying time before public given raw data. Sweeps, technically you're, on a temporary basis, you're right. I mean, I don't believe this could be done permanently, as with, for example, a crash retrieval. And as we've seen, even things like the Roswell incident, stuff leaks out. But they certainly seem to be very reluctant to publish the JWST data, didn't they? I mean, a lot of people like Avi and other people were saying, come on, you did this on the 6th of August, you looked at this damn thing. Where's the bloody data? Where is it? DJ, don't worry about it, mate. Say what you want. You can be political as you like here. Yeah, Arts, I'm not going to publish your comment, but you're right. We had a banking crisis, lockdowns, and 3 you-know-whats. Not looking good. Well, they're now saying there's a new variant, aren't they? I mean, they say this every bloody autumn, don't they? All right, so let's go back to my notes. Okay, so right, there's the Skeppers have said a few things. There's this guy here. Where is he? Oh, well, Simon is not a Skepper, it's Professor Simon Holland, but there is Cool Worlds. Now, this bloke here is here we go. This is his take on things. Now, he published this 4 days ago. What you need to know about 3i Atlas? No, it isn't alien. There's a picture of Avi and Picard face palming. Now, despite this, I mean, this video obviously is 24 minutes long, and I disagree with it. But at least this guy's at least quite polite and professional. I do actually sub to this guy. He covers things like astronomy, cosmology, geology, all kinds of things. He's actually finding quite an interesting YouTuber. But as I said here, in my comment, my comments disappeared. All right. Oh, my comments disappeared on this video, but there you go. All right, there are two. You can go and watch it if you want. You can go and watch it, but this is this one here. But his this video is just based around the statistical nature of the trajectory, the physical nature of the object, and I can't remember all the details. But the thing about it is, I might just look at it. I just might give it a quick look off.
The man as some kind of.
Here we go. Let me just find where he gets the list up, because I think he's wrong. But where is it? Here we go. He gives a list of points about why he thinks it's not. He is reasonably polite, this guy, and he's actually a colleague of Avi, so I suppose he feels he needs to be present. Oh, I can't find it now. I could spend all day looking for this. Oh, there we go. I can't spend all day looking for this shite. All right, I'll give up. I give up.
He states that the probability that.
All right, but basically, that video's not aged very well, because obviously the video was only produced 4 days ago, but obviously he'd been working on it, and he does have a high production value. He does have a very high production value. He's technically sophisticated, which means, in my view, he actually produced that video before the sphere data came in, because that changes it. And possibly, if he was working on that video now, he would have made it slightly different. Okay, so let's have a look. What's happening here? What if it was just a nuke that goes in the USA, which they want to return to a nature? Okay. Close quarters. I've still got an old paperback of The Man of the Stars from the 70s. Lots of discussion of weird signals from Epsilon Boötes and a suspected satellite attempting contact in the 1920s. Old school woo. That sounds like an early Arthur C. Clarke novel. That does, because there were UFOs in Arthur C. Clarke stuff. Oh, Apophis, right? I'll come on to Apophis later, because we don't, Apophis is going to miss the Earth, but it might hit the moon, mightn't it? Yeah. If it hits the moon, that won't be particularly bad. I mean, there'll be a new crater there, and it's because the moon's covered in craters, but we get our chance to watch one being made. But the problem is the ejector from this might actually damage our spacecraft. That's the problem. Might start the old Reeves has got to know. Have to split. Family visitors gave you a third thumbs up. Great groups here each time, Ben. Stay solid. Thanks for posting, Sweeps. Much appreciated. I like your comment. Your comment was very interesting. Oh, the first red heifer was born in Israel. Yeah. Wasn't that like to do with, it's something occult, it's something Kabbalistic or something? To do with the apocalypse or the Moshiach, the Messiah. And then Oumuamua comes out at the same time, doesn't it? Arch Channel. Cool Worlds. Looks like the astronomer Rupert Everett doesn't mention Uranus. Oh, dear. He does look like Rupert Everett, doesn't he? He does. He's a dead ring of Rupert Everett. He doesn't mention Uranus. Let's have all those unoriginal Uranus jokes, guys. Is Cool World the new Brian Cox? No, he's not, because he's far too masculine and far too nice. Hello, Jimmy. How do you do, Jimmy Wormholes? That's a good name. The Star of Wormwood. All right. Well, it's not actually gonna. Ben Mace, Invasion Season 3. Oh, right. Yeah, I've got to watch the first two, but strange timing. Yeah, because we were talking about that earlier. I think it was actually Tor Engen who mentioned it, or someone else. But yeah. Interesting. I've got a feeling Arrival is going to be reshown as well, and possibly Independence Day. One is very good, and the first one is very good. The latter very bad. Christie says here, plausible, perhaps 3 crystal hologram is currently shattering. 3D firmament. Cosmic Enigma might need to sort some malevolent techno images. Love you all from across the pond. You too, Christy. Thank you very much. It might be. People talk about reality glitches, and who knows if it's something like that. Who knows? Uranus could be in for a bashing from the interplanetary object. Hey, not bad. I'm going to sleep, but still listening. Right, Gary. It's getting a bit late now. I won't go on much longer. But yeah, I'm glad I'm a bit of a lullaby for you. Okay, so now let's just get on with my notes. Right, the delay. I've done that. Right. Now this is where I asked Grok a few questions. Could the Mars-based probes be used to observe 3i Atlas? Now this is essential, right? If NASA turn their ugly nose up at this, that's going to be suspicious, because the Mars-based probes are literally the only way we have of observing 3i Atlas basically from early October onwards. Because JWST can't. I thought JWST could do it, but they can't. And I'll explain why. But I said here, and he says here, yes, probes orbiting Mars are able to observe the interstellar comet 3i Atlas, and this presents a unique opportunity for scientific data collection. When 3i is closest to the Sun in October 2025, it will be unobservable from the Earth because the Sun's glare will block the view. Maybe that's deliberate, as Avi was saying. However, at that time, it will be passing relatively close to Mars, making it a prime target for instruments on Mars-based spacecraft. So, in other words, when 3i goes past Mars, it'll enter the Sun's glare, and we won't see it. But we will essentially have a camera right there to look at it while it's behind the Sun, where we can't see it. It's perfect. It's perfect. And if NASA if NASA say no to this, I'll send Anna Paulina Luna round to their offices with a rolling pin to make them think otherwise. Proximity to Mars, 29 million kilometers, significantly closer than any one other object. Space aircraft like the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, equipped with instruments like the HiRISE camera, and he also mentions the that's another subject. The Tianwen-1, which has similar instruments. While resolution would be limited, the images would provide valuable scientific data on the comet's activity during its solar closest approach. The maneuver offers a critical window for observation during this period, where the comet is likely to be most active. If it's a comet, but obscured from the Earth by the Sun. Observations during this perihelion passage are vital for understanding the object's composition and nature. Yeah, the thing about it is, right, maybe if NASA say no to this, I'm going to assume they're just worried about what it will do. Firstly, they're worried that it won't produce any H2O emissions. In other words, it won't give off water, meaning it ain't a comet. Secondly, it'll be the perfect place, as Avi says. It'll be the perfect opportunity when it's out of sight from the Earth to execute a reverse O-berth maneuver. In other words, enter solar orbit, which would mean it's a spaceship. If it does that, it has to be a spaceship, an alien spaceship, and everyone will know it. If the Mars probes are observing it, everyone will know that that's happening, and maybe that's what NASA are scared of. Maybe that's what they're scared of. I mean, obviously they can't keep it secret forever, because when it doesn't pop out the other side on December the 15th or whenever it is, and we will observe it again, the people say, "Well, hang on, where's 3i Atlas gone?" And they'll say, "Here it is. It's just orbiting inside Mercury, where it's eyeing up the solar system." Yeah. Several existing and proposed missions could be used to observe 3i Atlas. Operational Mars orbiters, existing Earth-based probes, right? Oh, Earth orbiting probes. Well, they're not going to have much more luck than, unfortunately, they're not going to have much more luck than a surface observatory. Proposed redirects, end-of-life orbiters, things like Juno, yeah. And then I said here, could the James Webb Space Telescope get a better view of 3i Atlas when the object goes behind the sun? Because the reason I asked that is because if you look at where it is, James Webb Space Telescope, okay, is actually not in orbit. It's not in orbit around the Earth. How far away from Earth is the JWST? The James Webb Space Telescope orbits the Sun at the Sun-Earth Lagrange point. As I explained earlier, it's a neutral zone between the two gravitational fields. So it's approximately 930,000 miles from the Earth. When you consider the Moon is about 250,000 miles, it's almost twice the distance from the Moon. This means it actually could get technically it could get a better view of. It could technically get a better view of 3i Atlas than the Earth does, slightly better, because it's like it's like peeking. It's like it's like you got a wall between you and something you want to see, and there's a short guy and there's a tall guy, and the tall guy can kind of slightly peep over the wall. But there's a problem. I asked Rock, could James Webb get a better view of Atlas when the object goes behind the sun? No. The JWST cannot get a better view of 3i Atlas. It is specifically during this period in October 2025 the comet will be unobservable by Webb along with the Earth-based telescopes. Why? Thermal protection. JWST is an infrared telescope that must be kept extremely cold to detect faint infrared signals. A massive sun shield protects the sensitive optics and instrument from the heat and light of the sun, Earth, and Moon. To maintain a necessary sun shield protection, JWST cannot point within certain angles of the sun. Its field of view is restricted to an annulus in the sky, a ring that is always between 85 and 135 degrees away from the direction of the sun. There you go. So despite the fact it's at the Lagrange point, further away than the orbiting telescopes, we cannot use it to observe 3i Atlas. It's actually much less use than an Earth-based telescope. So there you go. Anyway, let's go through your comments. That's the end of my notes. Gary Robin. Oh, right. We got where are we now? Let's keep these Uranus jokes going. Starmer's Uranus gets bashed by Zelensky. Gary Robinson. Has Uranus ever been probed? Well, if they did, they didn't tell me. Oh, thanks, Phuket. Come on, click the like. Dr. Sai, everything rises then falls, including humanity. Yeah, I mean, this inevitably, we're not going to last forever, are we? But, we can last as long as we can. Close quarters. NASA will do it. They might not admit it, but they'll do it. Well, the thing is then, close quarters, how do they keep the data private so that other people can't see it? The team that operates the feed from these Mars probes is multinational and vast in number. As I said to Sweeps earlier, how would they do it without telling everyone? Will 3i Atlas deliver a Mars bar? Yes. Well, I'd rather have that than a Milky Way. Green tea. Interesting true fact. There's a town in Missouri named Uranus. At the side of the highway, passing through, there's a fudge packing plant and a tourist shop, and they sell some hilarious T-shirts. Really? Oh my God. That's one for 14 times. Isn't it? You've got to have that one for 14 times, isn't it? The 14 times in brief, yeah. We have Mr. Mission Control. All right. My Geo Sentinel scans and the scans from the X-37B say it's a Nove metallic electroactive asteroid with some limestone content. All right. The X-37B, by the way, is the military space shuttle operated by the Space Force. Saw some YouTube that monitor the sun. Says about a solar flare towards Mars on 3i Atlas. I've not seen that on the space weather database. So, Torangan. Right. Oh, Mark Young. Soho could be used to see through the sun's glare. Yeah, why not Soho? Good point. I'm surprised I didn't think of that myself. Let's just ask Google AI. I've got Twitter shut at the moment. Could Soho be used to observe 3i Atlas? Yes. Oh, here we go. Oh, look. Yes, the Soho spacecraft was able to observe 3i Atlas in October 2024. What? I think you mean it's got its tenses mixed up. Will be able to in 2025. This is used. Look, Soho spacecraft was able to observe 3i Atlas in October 2024. What? But it was only discovered on July the 1st of this year. They were historical place, but they only go back to June the 15th. They don't go back to October last year. I think they must mean something else. Maybe we'll be able to observe in October this year. So we'll be able to observe in October 2025. Oh no, it's confused here. Look, it's talking about pre-recovery observations to past sightings of the comet. Soho was specifically used to image the comet and has continued to do so for several days because of the comet's bright tail and proximity to Earth. They're talking about something else. That this is something complete. Comet Chuchishan. Oh, it's a different comet altogether. But surely, hang on. Maybe I should take away. Sometimes you have to be very literal with this. Oh, hang on. It seems to have got it right now. Is capable of observing this interstellar comet through our Atlas and has already been involved in studying its characteristics. However, Soho's view is limited to the comet's proximity to the sun, and its most important observations were likely conducted around 3i Atlas' closest approach to our star. What do you mean were conducted? This is really confusing. I'm going to go back. All right. I think I might, maybe if I just take away the, I'll take away the slash and maybe that will do. Maybe it's just confused by the fact I used a forward slash. Right. Okay. Here we go. Right. People think these things are not going to take over the world. Oh, you look, the Soho spacecraft has observed 3i Atlas, also known as Comet. What? Oh, sorry. This is useless, guys. This is useless. However, technically speaking, maybe it could, Mark. Yeah, maybe it could. It could be the Anunnaki are coming back. Well, that's what David Sarita said to Kerry to Cassidy. Oh, we got Boudica, last of the royalty. Good evening. Oh, Boudica, my heroine. I'm having a Boudica moment. Yeah, Arts, yes, that's right, Arts channel. JWST cannot turn towards the sun. It can't, as we've just explained, yeah. The Vera Rubin telescope can track it. Yes, indeed it is doing so right now, up to the point where it goes into the solar glare. Yes, it's been a very useful instrument. I mean, that was the telescope. It was not even fully operational. It was just being tested. And it picked up this object, which does mean that it's actually a very, very useful machine. We know it works, don't we? We know it works. It's not a spaceship, guys. Well, you don't know that. There's no what evidence is there? It's anything else. Hugo, enjoying immensely. Come on, one more hour. Just check. Oh, God, blimey. We don't know what evidence is there. It's anything else than a spaceship. That's the thing. It's the evidence that it's a comet is currently lacking. AI is well ahead. AI, this particular AI is not going to take over the world anytime soon. Mr. Mission Control, ask Grok which satellites could scan 3i Atlas or the moon bases. I'm not logging into Twitter right now, I'm afraid, Mr. Mission Control. I'm sorry. It's just, it's too distracting. Mr. Mission Control, 3i Atlas is actually affecting temporal space-time as it approaches. Well, in that case, we might see lots more Mandela effects. Funnily enough, I had a Mandela effect, didn't I, shortly before it was detected. Oh, where were we now? Yeah, it says the UK is preparing for a mass casualty incident officially. Yeah, that's worrying now, isn't it? They bought up a load of basically mortuary tents. Why? I mean, they did this before. Do you remember they did this during COVID? But they've also done it before. They've done it a couple of times before, and usually before, you know, things where things might happen. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I think that's it, and we may know more in coming days and weeks. What could happen when it goes past Mars is that NASA will bite the bullet and they'll hold their nose and they'll point the high-rise camera towards the object. I really hope they do that. I really want them to do that because if that happens, then we'll get a really good image. But you see, if they don't do that and they choose not to observe as it goes behind the sun, then you've got to ask why. Are they scared of what they might see, of what they might show, what they might have to show people? That's the point. I mean, we'll come back to this because, of course, it's only just over a month before it does have its encounter with Mars. Right. Okay, said Mr. Mission Control. If you're ending the stream, and email me, and I'll send you some information, bro. Sure. Well, if you go to the Hapanmo TV blog, hapanmo-tv.blogspot.co.uk, my email address is on there. Yeah. Oh, it's my information. All right. I'll check out your channel. All right. Good night, Hugo. Thank you. All right. Night all 69. Close quarters. Right now, I'd say it's a fizzing chemical firework flying through space, but never say never. Well, if that's the case, it's one like we've never seen before. Which it is possible this is a natural object. It could, but if it is, it's not like anything we've encountered before. It's not a comet. It's something very different indeed. Which, seeing as it comes from interstellar space, is a possibility. So that is a possibility. Neil Peel mentions, don't they have a nearby sun probe that could look at it? Or someone else asked that, Soho, yeah. I tried asking Google AI, and it gave me some very garbled answers. It didn't even understand me. Apparently, they're stocking up on mobile crematoriums. Oh, dearie me. I hope if these are aliens, they can come down and maybe do some things I can't say for legal reasons that could save this country. I hope so. All right. Anyway, Night Hatchie, thank you for posting. Thank you, DJ. Neil Peel, 69 Phuket. Mr. Mission Control. Hugo Rune. Mark Young. Arts Channel. Dr. Sai. Sweeps Fox. I've said Dr. Sai. Close Quarters. New viewer. Hope you enjoyed yourself, Close Quarters. Please come back. Check out my other videos. Boudica, Last of the Royalty. That's true. She was. Tor Engen. Green Tea. And anyone else I've missed? Rhiannon, who's gone now. Thank you, all of you. Johnny Fettler. Night Hatchie. Night Johnny Fettler. Night Mark Young. Night everyone. And thank you everyone who's watched. Have a great night, Green Tea. You guys have been great. This has been a really interesting live stream. What's coming up next? I don't know. I mean, I think I'll have to do a comments reply video this weekend. Next week I'm off to Gary Robinson Night. Next week I'm off to the Dorset Earth Mysteries group. Get there if you can to see my show. Just go to Dorset Earth Mysteries. Just Google that. You'll find the details. It's happening on Thursday night. So please do get to that if you can. There'll be a video anyway. And thank all of you for watching Hapanmo TV yet again. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order.